Kung Pao. Ah!
No, that's not how you do it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, then go.
Well, look at you can't even see your hands in there. Like you're going down here, you can't see it. You have to see it. Okay, so it's like right here.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's one for my camera. Ready?
So
So when you're in the video editing, you go frame by frame until you get that exact
Look
clap,
at that.
and then you sync it with this. So we had 2 sticks. First sticks for Greg's camera and second sticks for Natalie's camera.
Look at Natalie go. She's got some skills that I didn't even know.
Yes, well, I did production for a few years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. Definitely didn't know about that.
So you didn't know about Johnny and I's whole stint as horse videographers?
No. You specialized in horses.
No, we specialized in the. I don't even know how this really came about, but Johnny had a buddy who was in Colorado who had been in Hollywood and they'd done stuff together. They knew each other from Hollywood. And then he moved to Colorado where Johnny was like, oh, yeah, my parents have a place there. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go live there. And so then he found this job working because he wasn't making very much money. It's Colorado.
Yeah.
He found this job working for a horse trainer.
Okay.
But the horse trainer had a following all over the world. And so this horse trainer had a monthly DVD that would go out to like 28 different countries. And he had another monthly that was like a subscription level. So you could get the monthly or you could get the 2 monthly DVDs or you could also get the quarterly audio CD. And then there was also a magazine and you could order products from him and whatever. And we also had a TV show on RFD, the Rural Farming Channel.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we had this like amazing TV show that like people bought the box set and everything. Like, so that's what we did. So I was like a junior producer, like part-time editor. I mean, we did it all.
Do you still have some of these VHS cassette tapes, whatever it was?
They were on DVDs. Okay, it wasn't
DVD.
that long ago.
Okay, all right.
Yes, we do somewhere.
I need some evidence of this. I would
It was
love
funny.
to go
It was
back.
called The Horseman's Apprentice. Dun, dun,
Ooh.
dun.
Fancy.
Yeah, Johnny did all the sound and he did the post sound and he did music supervising. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So let's talk about where we are. This is episode number 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Number 1, numero uno. This is a big deal, right? Of G Money, real talk about mortgages and real estate.
Okay.
And here we go. We're live with Natalie Oman.
Hello.
And let's get back into, let's rewind. How did we meet? We met.
Okay, so we were wanting to buy a house,
Yes.
and one of your buddies,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Jeremy Cole, Mr.
Johnny-
Pierpont.
Johnny and Jeremy were just chatting at the beach one day, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about buying this house," and he was like, "Oh, you got to talk to my buddy Greg."
Right.
And
Right.
so then we talked, and then and then all of a sudden one day I was dropping off my daughter at preschool, and there you guys were.
Yes. Day number 1, we have our girls. We're dropping off.
Yep.
Trying to be, the helicopter dad in there. What's going on? And I get a little shoulder tap, and it's Johnny, and it was like, okay, we've got some play friends. Everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
And everything was great.
Yeah, and our first mortgage went smooth.
Yeah. All of the mortgages, by the way. There's been multiple.
There's been a couple.
Yeah. So real estate, obviously doing the mortgages that, and then you guys have purchased additional investment properties.
Yes.
How's that been?
Well, it's been a roller coaster. It's been challenging because we always think, okay, this is not the year we're going to buy, and then we find something. And then it's always challenging to go back like, okay, shoot, now I got to think about all the, how to make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's one thing that I love about you, Greg, is that you're always a problem solver.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, we have some issues, but we're going to get past them. Whereas I'm having a heart attack, like, this is not going well.
Yes. The lack of hair up top, the nice shine that I have, and the, dad bod over here, that's all the problem solving, after effects,
Yes.
we'll say.
Yeah. That's, well, that happens.
It does. So you've acquired more and more investment properties.
Yes.
And then let me ask, are you, your initial property that you owned was in Burbank, and then you switched that over to, you were doing Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we were. Are you
were.
still doing Airbnb?
No. So the Burbank property, when we first bought it, we bought it with Johnny's parents thinking that they were going to come and stay there when they came to town. They were living in Colorado, and they had doctors that they still visited out here. So this property had a guest house, and so they were going to kind of inhabit that. We were going to live in the front, but they just weren't coming out very frequently, and they were really nestled in Colorado. And so we said, well, just let us know when you're going to come. We're going to Airbnb it in the meantime, because Airbnb was kind of an up-and-coming thing, but it had already been established enough. And so we started doing Airbnb, and it paid for our mortgage in just the guest house. So then we said, well, let's, expand that a little bit.
Yeah. And you guys were in Burbank. So what drew you to Ventura specifically?
So Johnny's parents couldn't ever get a spot in the guest house. So they were like, we need to buy a different property. So we looked at a place in Santa Barbara, and on the way back to LA, to Burbank, we stopped by this place in Ventura, and Johnny and I thought, well, this would be a good Airbnb because it's near the beach. And so his mom walked in and was like, okay, no, I'm going to keep this one for myself. So she bought it.
Okay.
And so we were doing well with Airbnb. We were starting to rent it out, all this kind of stuff. And we said, well, we'll go up to Ventura and work on this for a little bit. The girls weren't in school yet. So we had flexibility. Started working on that, and I rented out our entire house down in Burbank. And I said, we're not going back.
We like it here.
So Johnny was like, oh, I guess I'm commuting now. So
okay. Yeah. And then that home you did sell, and then
so we purchased it from Johnny's parents with you.
Oh yeah, let's rewind. Yep, there was a purchase there.
There was a purchase. Yeah. We kept the place in Burbank. That became a long-term rental.
Okay.
So then we had this place in Ventura, and we didn't have a way to utilize it to make money. So we decided to sell that one and purchase a duplex property.
Right.
So we lived in one half and rented the other side out.
Right. And then recently you purchased another property for yourselves, and now you rent both sides. Okay.
Yep. And that one, the new one that we bought, we intend to house hack it eventually. So there's a downstairs bedroom and bathroom that we'll probably rent out.
Okay. Short term, long term. I'm just kind of curious, like what you've done both. So like, what are you doing with that property, and what are your comments on both?
Well, because it's in a neighborhood, and where it is, it's not really desirable as much for a short-term rental. So I think we'll do like a month-to-month rental, maybe Furnish Finder with some travel nurses or somebody that will kind of come and go, but it's not going to be a long-term rental.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. And then somewhere along the way, you've transitioned, and from acquiring your own properties, you've become a realtor. And tell me that story. How'd you get into that?
Well, my dad has been a real estate agent since 2002 when he retired. And he and my mom flipped houses, and they never really did real estate that much for clients. They just kind of did it for themselves. But he helped us purchase our place in Burbank, and he also helped us purchase the first place in Ventura. And he kept saying, you can do this. This is something that you would be great at because you love talking to people. You love real estate. This is kind of your thing now. So he encouraged me to get my license, and I started with Berkshire Hathaway 3 years ago now, because I'm counting down the days until my license renewal. I got to get to finish some more classes for my continuing education.
Enjoy that. When I started in lending many moons ago, that was the license that you had to have, was your real estate license.
Yeah.
And I've maintained it. Like, I worked for it. I didn't want to just give it up, but I've never sold a home for a commission. Like, actually, even when you purchased your home from Johnny's parents, I think I helped with the purchase contract.
Yeah,
or
you
something,
did.
So I've always just kind of helped my own clients. But silly me, I still pay for it every 4 years. I still do the continuing education.
Yeah.
So
that's right. It's been 4 years. I didn't start with Berkshire Hathaway right away. I got my license, and then I didn't situate myself anywhere for a little while. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you've been Berkshire, as you mentioned, 3 years, and then you've teamed up with Karen. So you work kind of as a team.
Teamed up with Karen in the last year. I knew Karen because she was part of the mentorship program there.
Okay.
And so we had talked. I took her out to lunch multiple times, just like, all right, now I'm at this place in my career. Where should I go next? All that kind of stuff. She's like, well, if you ever want a partner, I'm here.
Yeah.
And it was kind of always in the back of my mind, like, would that really work? And I love working with somebody.
Yeah.
Real estate is such a singular business, like you have your client, right? But then your clients move on, or they buy, or they sell, and then you're done with them. Usually, they're not calling you at 9:00 on a Friday night. panicking about something after that, which is good. I mean, I'm glad that my clients are happy, but then it's just so singular. So it's nice to be able to work with somebody, partner with somebody.
Yeah, that's good. And then Berkshire, like what led you there? Like, do you feel that's been a good relationship? Do you feel, again, as I'm not trying to steal your thunder here or take away speaking too much, but like a lot of being a realtor is branding yourself, your identity. Does it make a big difference kind of where you plant your hat there?
I think for me in the beginning, the reason I landed at Berkshire is because they have a good education system.
Okay.
So when you go to school to be a real estate agent, it's not a lot about the actual day-to-day practice of being a realtor.
Right.
So when when I started looking at brokerages, I wanted to see who was good at educating their agents, because I went to a lot of other places. It was just like, okay, just counting in the bodies, like, let's just get them in here, And so I thought that the specific mentor that was at Berkshire, she was the one that really was just like, however you want, like, however this is going to take shape for you, like, we want that to work. If you want to just sell one house a year, like, we want to train you to be able to sell that house well.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, there's no pressure. I really like this lady. It's a good fit. Yeah. So I went to sign the contract, and within that same month, she was like, I'm not doing the mentorship program anymore.
Hi and bye.
I was like, okay, so maybe this wasn't the right move. But what's interesting is that Karen stepped in to fill that void in the interim.
Yeah.
And so immediately.
Here we are today, partnered with Karen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, like many of us, you wear multiple hats. I mean, being a mom, being a wife, to Crazy Johnny. And, you volunteer. We know you in so many different facets here. So, how is it being a realtor and trying to balance all of this?
It feels a lot like drowning.
We'll throw you a lifesaver.
You swim to the side and you're like, okay, I can breathe for a couple minutes, and then somebody throws you back into the deep end of the pool. But in all seriousness, it's I don't want to say this to toot my own horn, but it's amazing to see how much I've grown over the years. I would not have been able, like, if you would have taken me, like, even before children and then added this amount of stress to my life,
right?
I would have not have survived.
And isn't that kind of to be said of that, you test yourself of, kind of what's put in front of us. And if you don't have much in front of you, you're not going to test yourself. You're not going to perform. And you start to add more obstacles, and you either achieve them, overcome them, or you don't.
Exactly.
And so looking back, I self-reflecting, kind of the same thing of what Sarah and I have going from children, business, properties, nonprofits. You start to check the boxes, and you're like, wait, why did we do this? This sounded good, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, this will pay off someday, I think. I hope.
Right.
But if you don't take that leap, you're never going to know how much you can accomplish.
Very, very true. Very true. And it's good, I think, to push yourself. And, I'm, not going to be Bill Gates tomorrow, but, I want to have a healthy, comfortable lifestyle. And, you have to get out there and work. And, some of it's fun and some of it's truly work. And I think we try to find, Sarah and I try to find a good balance of, yes, it's good to work hard, but we also want to give back. And that's the nonprofit aspect to that. And I know you guys do a lot of that as well. And then you have families and you have these beautiful children, and it's like we want to raise them and be great parents, and hopefully they're a little bit better than the next kid or something. And so it's, you have to work at being a parent as well. So.
Yeah. And we try to always bring the girls into our real estate, like into our, whatever we're doing, they have to be a part of it. So yesterday they were pulling weeds and, laying down new bark at our Airbnb property because we were having photos taken today.
Yeah.
So they know that they have to come and they have to work. They complain, but they do it.
Right. No, we do a lot of the same. We speak to our children as adults, real talk. It's, nothing's free.
Right.
Dinner that you're eating right now, somebody has to work and pay for that. And it's kind of funny at school, they love to role play. They want to be mortgage lenders, and I don't know why, but hopefully they outgrow that. But they are always playing American Pacific Mortgage, and God bless them. They'll hopefully get through that phase. But
that's so cute. It's so funny because you ask my girls, do you want to be a real estate agent? Avi's like, oh no, definitely not.
No.
But she wants to own real estate.
Oh.
So we were driving Johnny's buddy home. Johnny had gone to Switzerland to do some filming.
Yeah.
And we're in the car on the way back, and he was like, let's just take my buddy home too. And I was like, okay, sure. Here's my dirty car, driving home. And of course he's got this gorgeous view estate and Woodland Hills. It's on this beautiful it just was huge. You're just like, okay, I drive a Kia,
Yeah.
But we're driving him home, and my daughter in the back was trying to make conversation now that she's almost 10.
Great.
She's trying to talk to the grown-ups, and so she's like, so how many houses do you own?
Oh, wow, hitting them hard. I love it.
And it wasn't coming from a place of privilege, just coming from a place of doesn't everyone invest in real estate?
Right.
Doesn't everyone make money from their rentals?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you own more than one?
And what was his answer? Now I'm curious.
He was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm so glad to be able to say this, but we just bought our first investment property. And he bought in Alabama or somewhere, Arkansas, I forget where, but he was like, man, I just made it under the wire.
Yeah, interrogated by the 10-year-old, he made the cut. So
I know. I'm like, this is going to work out well when she's inspecting potential suitors, auditioning the men later on. So tell me your financial plan.
Yeah. I'm going to need to see a portfolio before the date, please. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. Kids are weird.
Well, let's talk a little bit, just off topic, but we brought up Johnny a couple times. Crazy Johnny. We heard the horror stories, but Johnny's your husband, and he is a sound engineer. Is that a professional job title? Okay. For Hollywood. I like to call him Mr. Hollywood because he's not Mr. Hollywood.
He totally isn't.
He is not the Hollywood, fly suits and, name dropper. He is so not him.
Yeah.
And so obviously you've gotten some of your skills just honed from being around him and some of the movies that he's been on and sets, and I'm sure you get to see all the behind the scenes of editing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So when we started in Colorado in 2010-ish, it was new to him to do film and television sound. So he had come from a music background. He actually was a ceramicist in college. That was his major. He was an art major.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, hair toss right now,
learning
right?
so much.
So he had his work in galleries. I mean, he was a real legit artist. And he said, once I sell this pot, there's no residual income. So he decided that he wanted to pursue music. And growing up in Hollywood, he and his buddies would go and be an extra on a movie set because there's a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
So they would sit there and they would write songs on set to try to, come up with these, because you have paid time to just sit there.
Correct.
So he was always on movie sets. He acted in commercials and stuff as a kid. And so he was just always around it. He started in the music business. And then when his buddy in Colorado said, hey, can you come and, record sound for this TV show? He was like, well, I don't really know how to do that. But he made some phone calls and figured out what equipment he needed.
Yeah.
So he started doing that. And I reminded him he was doing a film in Ventura in 2013 for pennies.
Yeah. Okay.
And now, it's just crazy the trajectory of his career.
Yeah.
He's on all the things. He does a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but it's Star Wars, Star Trek. All the big movies, all the things. Name
drop. Who did we talk about that he recorded this weekend?
This weekend he was with Prince Harry.
Oh, Prince Harry.
Yeah, for Random House. So they were doing a whole live stream Zoom thing and, selling tickets for that. So
wow. Well, and I see how much that really, contributes to your real estate. You really put out a lot of content. Well-made content. I think most realtors would pay an arm and a leg for the wonderful audio video that you have.
Yes,
So,
I'm very lucky.
so clearly as a team, you guys are well suited in many facets, and it definitely complements your business. So kudos to Mr. Hollywood.
Yeah, even though we have separate, careers, we're always working together. So whether that's me talking to him about his, his politics on set or whatever that is, and then him helping me with my real estate and videos and everything like that. So,
and I imagine just the contacts of, coworkers and some of the sphere of influence, it must help your real estate business as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I think you had somebody call you recently that was Johnny's buddy.
We did. Yes. Thank you. Love it. We love those referrals here at American Pacific Mortgage.
Referrals is how we grow our business. So thank you for sending them our way.
Yes. Oh. Well, we'll take good care of them.
Yeah. Good. I know you would. As soon as he said, I'm doing taxes, I was like, you better call Greg.
Yeah. Greg knows how to read 200 W-2s from the Hollywood.
Oh, I know. That's the one thing that people don't realize. So a friend of mine, her husband works in special effects. Okay, he and Johnny have been on the same set before, but he works through a company that's contracted. And so he'll be there for 3-6 months, just working on the same thing. And so he gets only one W-2 for the year. Johnny is every single commercial, every single promotional video. It's all different.
Oh, yes. You and I work very hard at Loan Time to get everything painted, that beautiful picture that we need to get everything in place to make it happen.
I know. It's weird. It's very different how different parts of the film industry are paid out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of it's W-2, some of it's 1099. So, yeah, I guess... you would know better than I why they do this or that, but
I know it's all different productions, all different. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Back to the real estate. So we've got a great marriage, complements each other very well. Tell me about business. Let's talk right now. This is real talk. The market, people are scared to buy, not scared to buy. What are you seeing in the industry?
People are scared to sell.
Okay.
I think particularly right now, if you bought a house in the last few years, you've seen these crazy low interest rates, and you don't want to go anywhere else for the higher interest rate. I had clients that were looking at something off the avenue. It ended up going $110,000 over at the last time I heard. $110,000 over. Now you're talking about a payment that's close to $5,000 if you're putting a small amount of money down.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make sense for a lot of people. There are still buyers. I've got plenty of buyers.
Yeah.
But when you're going to sell and buy something else, that's where people are having this hiccup. So I don't think we're seeing a lot of things come on the market. We'll kind of have like a swing. This last week we had about 6 houses that were on broker's tour, but the week before that there was like 15.
Yeah.
So there's not like a consistent upswing. We just have this like, a bunch of people died, and so here's their houses. But then there's not a lot of people selling. And
that may totally coordinate with rates. Last week we saw rates really kind of going up quite a bit. And so, rate sensitivity obviously plays into $1 million homes, right?
Yeah.
The affordability factor.
I know.
Now, in contrast, do you feel, or do you speak with kind of the clients, hey, you bought 4 or 5 years ago, rates were obviously lower, but look how much appreciation you've made. Can you put $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 down to still get it to an affordable payment that it still makes sense to purchase?
Yeah, I think that is a hang up for a lot of people. They don't quite understand how that works. A lot of people too, they think, oh, I'd like to make that a rental, but I don't know how to parlay. Then I wouldn't have equity to put into a new place. And so, and a lot of people, it's just the hang up of what that monthly payment is going to be, because they're not working with somebody that is a problem solver, that is coming up with other ideas for them. They're just stuck in this, I looked it up on Google and it says that I've got to pay $7,000 a month. I can't afford that,
Yeah, well, good old Google, right?
I know. And that's a problem when you don't work with a professional.
Yeah.
If you don't work with somebody that can see the rental aspect of it. I've got clients right now, they can't go above $700,000, but if they bought a duplex, they could use rental income, qualify for more.
Right.
But it's it's the shift in thinking that not a lot of people have because they don't have the perspective. You know, they're not versed in coming up with alternative ways to purchase property or utilize property.
Right. With some of this, I mean, is this stuff you try to explain to the clients and truly, get them to understand? Or, I mean, there's two facets. I mean, you specialize in the sales side, and that's what, my mind is so all numbers, right? So it's like, we look at this cycle, and I've been lending for 22 years, and not that that's amazing, but I've seen plenty of cycles go through this. The year-over-year appreciation, some years are amazing. If we look at the average, it's about 5 to 6% year-over-year, depending upon the area. Well, unprecedented low rates and unfortunately bad circumstances are what drives the rates down. So we had COVID, and we've got, rates between 2.5% and 3% on a 30-year fixed for a couple years. And all that did was drive the prices up, right? It allowed the affordability to kind of open the floodgates, which is what we needed to stimulate the economy. Yeah. But then, as you're mentioning, $100,000, $110,000 over asking price, you're just driving the price up.
Right.
Now, looking as a realist, as the rates go up, obviously that's going to slow the prices down. And so now you can introduce a higher rate at a lower purchase price, or really, kind of convert this into a buyer's market. It went from a seller's market, meaning the seller controls the situation. The aces are up their sleeve that, hey, I have a product that you can't live without, and you can go to any lender and finance it and have a wonderful payment, and life is good. And now it's kind of transitioning into a buyer's market. I say that, but then Ventura is very unique because it's a buyer's market, but then we have no inventory, as you're mentioning. So we're still kind of caught in this, how much did the prices really drop? And let me ask you that. How much did the prices really drop? Did you see much, or is it just stabilized?
It's really varied based on the price point.
Yes.
Our starter homes, they're still flying off the shelf.
Right.
There's not any slowdown in price appreciation on starter homes.
Yeah.
Like I said, that particular place had 19 offers.
Yeah. Wow.
And my poor buyers, they can't compete with 19 other people that have cash, that have, they even have a really competitive offer. We wrote as best that we could, and it's still, there's nothing there. Yeah. When you go into the higher price bracket, there's a lot more wiggle room. There's a lot more opportunity to negotiate and make those deals.
Right.
But like you said, there's really not a lot of inventory. So we're not really seeing prices come down. We're just seeing prices sort of stabilize. Yeah. Or if you listed it too high, like if you're really stretching, then of course your price is going to come down. But I think we're still, I would have to check the numbers, but I think we're still about at least in the 90 percentile of what the sales price is to what the list price is.
Right. No, I would agree to that. And then I'll just kind of interject a little mortgage stuff to support that. The entry level, and let's talk about this because I'm originally from the Central Valley, and
I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay, so purchase prices over there, you can get a really nice home for $400,000. You can go get a brand new home fully loaded for $400,000. Maybe $440 now. I don't know. And Ventura, we're talking starter homes, crazy number. Yeah. We can go up to $1 million now. That's still a starter home, in the sense that the loan limits have really, in the last few years, as prices have gone up, they've finally caught up.
Finally.
And I feel like it's at a good point that, for almost $750,000, you could purchase a home for 3% conventional loan, 3% down on a $750,000. But again, $750 doesn't get us much here.
Right.
In Ventura County, we have this stretch non-conforming limit that is just shy of $1 million. It's 948 and some change, that you could essentially purchase $1 million home with about 5% down. That's a starter home in Ventura, and that's crazy to say that, we're looking at $1 million homes for, first time buyers, new couples. Obviously the income and the assets need to be there, but who would have, when I grew up, $1 million home, I was like, I'll go in on it with 10 of my friends and we'll live in $1 million home.
Right, as a mansion. Yeah, totally.
Now we're looking at $1 million homes that are, we got a
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
We're going to have to gut this for $250,000.
Yeah.
And So again, that kind of plays into why they're selling faster. First time buyers, entry buyers, the opportunity, there's a lot more of them, and the qualifications are much easier. So obviously that helps with the demand that you're seeing. As you get above the $1 million, then we get into jumbo. And this is, no government enticement, no government backing. This is the real deal. This is the real talk with the real deal. When you get into a jumbo purchase, the real loans, this is like, think about you lending your money. Are you going to lend somebody $2 million? What would you want to see? I mean, these are 700 plus credit scores, 12 months of reserves, 20% down minimum. Plus, you have to have the 12 months of reserves. I mean, we really want to make sure that you're financially capable of supporting this in good times and in bad. And so again, the pool of potential buyers, and there's a lot of well-to-do people here. There really is. But it's not as many as the, up to $1 million level.
Right, because we don't have a lot of huge high-paying jobs here. I mean, we have doctors and lawyers, but we don't have a plethora of. I mean, this isn't LA where we've got film execs and all that kind of stuff. We don't have a ton of big business here to support those huge salaries.
There's some industrial stuff, Oxnard, Camarillo. There's Amgen up the hill.
Yes.
You're right. I mean,
but that's commuting still, even to Camarillo or to Amgen.
And a lot of people do commute to Santa Barbara. I mean, and that I guess talking, speaking values here. I mean, 30 minutes in either direction, you're in Santa Barbara or Malibu.
Right.
We're a bargain at $1 million.
Exactly.
All the Malibu people. Natalie and Greg would like you to come out and visit us. Yeah. So.
Or even Santa Barbara people, come on down. Yeah. Buy a house instead of sitting there renting for your whole life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in Santa Barbara, it's unique. One, the city of Santa Barbara proper, the prices are just unbelievable. Yet the county loan limit is lower than Ventura.
I know, which is really bizarre to me.
And, well, I mean, you got to look at the whole county. Yes, there's some beautiful wine country, but there's a beautiful prison out there. And we have some, Atascadero. Hey, I'm not a little shout out to Atascadero. Hey. Paso Robles. It's all good. But it's just, it's interesting for me to look at the loan limits and just kind of laugh of, okay, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. And it's interesting, too, because Ventura City is really in a tiny area. You think about the actual city of Ventura, it's not very big.
Yeah, I think we're hovering right around the 100,000 mark. Oxnard, there's kind of all aspects in Oxnard, and it's about twice the size. I mean, our county overall is not very large. Yeah, I think maybe a few million. I don't know. Somebody Google that for us.
Can we we need like a third party here.
Yeah, we need an Google assistant that Google Sarah to the front desk, please. Oh, goodness. So some realtors specialize in listings, some on sales. Do you have a specialty? You work both? You enjoy both? Maybe chat with me about that.
Well, realtors sell property.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could be a buyer's agent, you could be a seller's agent, but really everybody's going to take the work. Okay?
Sure.
We work for our clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever they want to do, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I'd say maybe it's an older mentality, but I do work with an agent that he specializes in listings.
Yeah.
I've done a few purchases with him. So again, he's not necessarily to turn down work.
Right.
But most of, you look up his performance, his sales, it's listings.
Primarily.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, Karen and I really just want to be of value. Okay. So whatever people need, we get a lot of referrals from other agents out of the area. So we've got buyers right now from Long Beach that an agent down there sent up our way. Oh, wow. We've had people that were in Santa Ana that we've had another referral from. So we're a value to our clients. Whatever they want to do, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So as far as what our specialty is, I think we really are strong on marketing. Obviously, with Johnny as our backbone, we really can do a lot in the way of marketing a property. And so last year we had a lot of listings that went above and beyond their purchase price.
Yeah.
Part of that was the market, but a lot of that was the visibility. The amount of people that had eyeballs on those listings was greater than I think the majority that just put it on the MLS.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I would attest to that. We'll gladly going to throw some links into your social media, show off all of the beautiful marketing that you do. It's wonderful. And that's, I think, a great, obviously if you want to market or sell your home, I market and sell loans, right? That's kind of it. It's in presentation. And so the importance of that is huge. And, when a seller is, wanting to list their home, they need to really think what they're getting for their money and the value and all of that. So that's definitely great. And then buyers, I mean, again, I've never worked your job, so I don't know. Is it fun driving people around and showing them houses? Is it weird? I mean, you tell me. Like,
well, it's funny because, I have my perspective being now a real estate investor.
Sure.
So I look at what people are wanting to buy and I'm like, are you sure you want to buy that? I mean, I'm here for you, but, so a lot of times I'll give people my opinion, but again, it's whatever they want to spend their money on. You know, it's like you're going shopping with somebody for new sneakers, right? And they're like, do these look good? And you're like, well, sure, but are you really going to use those sneakers the way that, are those the most practical sneakers that you could purchase, So
Greg, you're not going to go running anytime soon. So do you need sneakers?
Oh, right. And so it's like, but that's one thing that I love about the job. Somebody asked me, okay, if you were not a real estate agent, what do you think you'd be doing? I honestly think I'd be doing some sort of like life coaching.
Yeah, well, that's what we do every day. I tell Sarah that all the time. I'm a life coach.
Right?
I talk people off the ledge daily, sometimes hourly,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Minutes. When we were doing our thing in December, I was like texting you all the time. Like, I'm having a panic attack. Is this happening?
And you know what? I'm looking back at this and I'm like, yeah, the income was difficult to break down.
Right.
But yours was not a difficult loan. And
right.
so like, I don't know if I'm just insensitive to that, but I hope I was like, giving you positive vibes of like, don't worry about it, Natalie. I mean,
it just was, Christmas, the stress of moving, like all of it together. That's just really what that was. But I think, that's what I like to do. I like to talk people off the ledge. I like to inform people. Like, these particular buyers, we want our first home.
Yeah.
Okay, but how long are you realistically going to live in this home?
Yeah.
Do you plan to have children? Do you plan to get married? What is where are you going in your trajectory? Because that's what we need to focus on for this first property.
Yeah.
Just because you want an ocean view, beautiful home, that's forever, doesn't mean that that's actually what you're going to do. Typically people stay in their home, they say 5 to 7 years.
Not in California.
In California, you're lucky if you're there for 3 years. That's strange to be there for longer, especially with millennials or younger people.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we have clothes older than how long we stay in our house.
Those jeans I hope to fit into one day, right?
Oh no, we're going there. Oh goodness, I love it.
But yeah, I think I love that aspect of real estate, just informing people and letting them know the options. Because, like these buyers, I'm showing them a duplex because you could buy this. Like currently you're renting a place. Why wouldn't you just rent this to yourself, have another renter and pay that whole mortgage?
Yeah. Setting up expectation is kind of a big thing. That's one of the probably number one task that I try to do with every loan application, pre-approval. Similar to you're not going to retire in your first home, kind of understand what the market's doing. And it is tough with the media that we have. And I just read an article yesterday. I was about ready to board a plane and I'm clicking on my thing for the news and I wanted to throw my phone. I was like, it was a mortgage article talking about how lenders are liars. And I'm just like, this person is so out of touch. So do you get that much where people come in from these news articles and they're saying, oh, it's not a good time to buy? Or, do you address that? Do you feel that at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel it 110%.
Yeah.
I just saw a meme, somebody's typing in realtors are, and then it came up with all these bad adjectives for realtors, and realtors get a bad rap, and I get that. You
So
know?
do lenders.
But I think that if you're serious about buying or selling, you are going to talk to a professional
Yeah.
and you ask them what the actual skinny is.
Yeah.
You know?
And, again, I think this reinforces the importance of finding a professional.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, part-timers and just because you're a realtor doesn't mean that you're amazing. I think the biggest thing is looking at, the reviews and that goes a long way of, how you work with people. You can know the inventory, you can know the products, but you're not good at advising or working with people.
Right.
Excuse me, a little tickle in my throat talking about this here.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to listen to your uncle Jimmy's cousin's, best friend to see if they're, think it's a good time to buy, then you're always going to be swayed.
Yeah.
But if you are, if you have that intention, go talk to a professional.
Yeah, and I get you named it. Excuse me, a perfect example. I get a lot of that of, well, I hear it's not a good time to buy. Well, where are you hearing that from? Are you picking up a newspaper, or is it Uncle Jimmy that doesn't even own a home? Right?
Exactly. I know. Oh my gosh.
He's waiting for the 1.5% rates.
Yeah, exactly.
So, oh goodness.
Well, and we have to realize that, a lot of what we see on our phones is clickbait.
Yes.
It's the market's crashing, so you click on the article and a lot of times the article doesn't even say that it's crashing, right? It's just the market is going through a shift. Okay.
Yeah,
that's not a crash.
Right. So. And I think more and more what you and I are doing right now, sitting down, talking, lender, realtor, we're talking about our business. I think this is what's important to get out there. This is what, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, this is what you need to listen to.
Right.
You need to listen to professionals that are talking about the market, that are talking about knowledgeable things that we live and work in. And yeah, do it, please.
If you're looking to buy in Ventura today, you're going to face a lot of competition in certain price brackets. So you're going to need to, find that wiggle room. So you're either looking at price, places that are really priced below what you can afford so that you can go up in the bidding, or, especially in the higher end homes, there might be some wiggle room there. So, I would say that's what's happening if you're buying. If you're selling, you're really going to want the most eyeballs on your property. It is not the days of just stick a sign in the yard and somebody will call.
Right.
You have to have marketing behind your property. You have to have promotion. You have to have, you need to have somebody that's really working behind it. Because a lot of times somebody will say, oh yeah, we've got all this great marketing. And they do it for the first week that the house is on the market. And then that's it.
Right.
And if you're not constantly driving traffic to it, nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
And if you're investing, God bless you.
One of the things, again, that you do so well is this marketing, which leads me, you do a lot of transactions, not just in Ventura County, but also Los Angeles County. Have you done stuff like Orange County?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, I'm going to say atypical. Many realtors just kind of work a small sphere. They might not even work all of Ventura County, but to your kudos, I think that's where the marketing, it's similar. Obviously neighboring counties here, but obviously with your extraordinary marketing that you're able to perform even outside of our small little bubble here. And that's great.
I think, we lived in Burbank prior, so we have a lot of connections there. All of Johnny's friends are there, so I'll get a lot of referrals down there. And we even had a probate sale recently from, a woman's mother who lived down there, and she lives here in Ventura. So, a lot of people poo-poo the realtors that aren't local, but the realtors that are local may not be doing their job.
Yeah, well, that also exists.
But I do say, when we sold a property in Orange County last year, we used a local title and escrow because they know the city better. They know those local regulations. They know what's important and what's not. And we really lean into them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's good. And for those that are listening that, what's title and escrow, when you purchase a home, the intermediary between the buyer, the seller is escrow. They, handle the purchase contract. It is a legal binding contract. They will not close escrow without meeting all of the terms of that contract. And then title, it's a requirement of any loan that you ever would obtain is to have title insurance, but it's also for your protection. It's, to look for liens and judgments and, any clouds on the title, as they say, that would, prohibit you from holding proper title. And last thing you want is to purchase a property and somebody come after you for money, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
so you're issued this title insurance policy. And so, again, I lend, I don't even, excuse me here, a little frog in my throat. I'm recently licensed in Oregon and Washington for lending, and I've been licensed in California for 22 years. Even within California, the title and escrow protocols of who pays what, how it's handled, which companies is quite different. And that's even interesting to me. And so, like, for example, in Northern California, you commonly use the same title and escrow company. Whereas in Southern California, it's commonly two different companies. In Sacramento, the seller pays all of the closing costs, all of the county transfer tax, the escrow fee, the title insurance. So again, going with local title and escrow companies, they're there to advise you, protect you, know the protocols, know the locals. So it's a great way to go. So,
Yeah. And we're lucky that we have great relationships with people in every county.
Yeah, right? Shout out.
I mean, the one lady we used for escrow in Orange County, she was so on it. I never had to follow up with her.
Yeah.
She just was always on top of the ball, constantly sending updates. And that's what you want. You want communication from your whoever you choose for anything.
Yeah.
Realtor, lender, anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
good. Let's talk about lenders. You work with, I'd love to work with you on every deal, but I know that that's not possible. So, a big part of you working with buyers is the lending process.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of, I think in selling a home, the biggest concern is getting your offer accepted. The second part is getting your loan closed, right?
Yeah.
So what's that like? Working with a lot of different lenders, different styles, concerns. Do you have to get involved with your clients? Maybe walk me through that.
When I have a buyer come to me, even as a seller's agent, we deal with a lot of lenders.
Yeah.
If somebody writes an offer on a property that I'm listing, I'm calling the lender and asking what their timeline is, what they can do, what they can, your clients wrote a 21-day offer. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Can you actually do that? And I will say we've had some major trouble with people going with big box bank lenders.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but months past when we were supposed to close.
Oh my gosh.
It's just
oh my gosh. I'm cringing here. Months.
Well, it's difficult too because you really want to work with somebody that has a track record because you can say, oh yeah, we've got final loan approval, and talk is talk. And then you go back and you're like, well, I thought we had final loan approval. Oh, I didn't say that. I wish I had recordings.
Goodness.
But when I meet with buyers and I say, you want to talk to as many people as you can, if you're going to go looking for a loan, you want to have all the lenders run your credit in the same kind of 2-week window. And I've learned that from you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I tell them to talk to everybody, see what programs are available, and then find somebody that you fit with that works and that has a good loan program for you. We have buyers and they were looking into a credit union person because they had a 5-in-1 arm and it, was a really good rate and it had it would only go up a certain percentage at the end of the arm time. And that percentage was the current 30-year fixed rate. So, I like people to stay informed too, because when they talk to different lenders, they learn more. Right? So if they're only talking to one person, that person's going to walk them through their checklist,
Correct.
But somebody else may have another checklist.
Yeah.
So it's rare, though, that buyers ever call somebody other than the first person on the list.
Yeah.
So as much as I say, you got to talk to everybody, they'll really just call that first person. So, in the case of I've got these one particular buyers. They've been looking to buy for a long time. They called the first person, and that was, whoever they came up with on the list, that was their first call.
Yeah.
They've just stuck with that same person. Now, that they're getting closer and closer to buy because they've been on this path. Okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to save. This is how we need to go. They got to the point where they're ready. Okay, we're filing taxes. We're doing it. It's happening today. I said, well, did you talk to anybody else? Because I think we really want to talk to somebody else. Like, are they advising you about X, Y, and Z?
Right.
They said, well, I think so, but I don't know. I said, well, then you need to talk to somebody else. So I think, if you're looking for a realtor, a lot of times you talk to a couple of realtors. You go to open houses. You see who you kind of fit with,
There's different personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, this is life, right? Different personalities in the same industry. And so there's also different styles. I mean, there's very aggressive realtors. There's very aggressive lenders. So I love what you're saying on interviewing multiples.
Yeah.
And I like that piece, even how speaking to multiple lenders or realtors, you can get a tidbit more information. You become well-versed to see what's important to each individual professional,
right?
And then you do gain that additional knowledge. So that's really good. When somebody, and again, not picking on the big box banks, but when somebody comes, hey, I'm approved with XYZ bank, do you try to reinforce going somewhere else or getting a second opinion with a non-box style bank?
Especially on this last transaction, I wish I would have pushed for it more. But as a realtor, you also don't want to look like you're playing favorites. Well, I'm not going to accept your offer unless you have blah blah blah. So I think, I've kind of shied away from that in the past.
Yeah.
Now having 2 loans in the last year that took forever when they said, oh, it'll be absolutely no problem. Now it's starting to be like, well, I need to know that this is actually going to go through.
Yeah.
So as far as my buyers, I tend to shy them away from big boxes unless they have such a stupid, simple, easy application and they have a prior relationship with that person.
Yeah. And I'll kind of chat about lending. I mean, there is differences in lenders, and we're not here to pick on the big box banks. I mean, we all have them for checking, savings, CDs. They even buy a lot of the mortgages on the secondary market. My mortgage is with Chase. Not a chance I would have went to Chase, but hey, they own my mortgage now, and that's the reality. And just kind of the educational components and the differences, when you go to a big box bank, the loan officer just has to register with the NMLS. They just get an ID. Hey, I'm part of this FDIC insured bank. Here's your number, sir. And essentially, they're an order taker. I mean, I don't want to be a jerk about it, but that's what they are. They don't know how to read and decipher appraisals, title reports. Those are compartmentalized. Back in Delaware, this is where underwriting is. And, Wisconsin handles our title reports. And, so there's systems in place, and yes, they can close loans, but now you have the control, the knowledge. There's no continuing education, right? There's no initial education. So you don't really have, I feel, as well-rounded, knowledgeable professional that's there to advise you. Yeah. Then, the elephant in the room is they have business banking hours, right? And so are they just 9 to 5 and, call me at the office, but, well, I'm out to lunch right now? Yeah. Who knows? I mean, then you get into mortgage brokers, and this is the next step of really where the education, the pre-education prior to getting your license, then the continuing education. You really need to know how a loan performs, and you can shop around on different wholesale levels. You can beat the rate of that box bank by shopping around, but they know where to place the loan. And, a lot of times the big box banks are very vanilla in their products. They don't have a whole, portfolio of, hey, we've got down payment assistance programs or this or that. Once in a while, they'll do one program of that, just to say that they offer that and do that. A broker, again, the education requirements, the knowledge of where to properly place that, the combination of underwriting to get your loan approved and accepted, but also where to get the best pricing. It's that combination of balance. I think a broker level is excellent. And then there's the mortgage bank. And over my tenure here of originating loans, I've seen kind of the ebb and flow of the broker dynamic where everybody was a broker, then everybody was a bank. And now it's kind of like this split mix of having a bank is probably the best in my eyes, where you can fund your own loans. You have your own underwriters that truly make the decision, that you can pick up the phone and call them and say, Tanya, how are we going to make this loan work?
Yeah.
That is critical in today's, handling these objections and, making it work, of finding alternative solutions that, hey, we're not here to do anything dirty, but there's got to be a car or a credit card, something can be paid, right? And so having the bank where you're the direct, from the consumer to the underwriter is so critical. And then I'm going to go next step further, where this is kind of the level that I'm at now, where we have the direct bank, but we also can broker. And so sometimes you're suggesting a credit union's got that crazy rate. Well, we can more than likely go to that credit union or to another wholesale bank to kind of get that. And so, these are those maybe interviewing questions that consumers should have of, who you're doing business with. When somebody comes to me or any lender with an 800 credit score and 25% down, it doesn't matter who you go to, right? When you're coming with 3% down and 400 W-2s and you're a first-time buyer with no cash reserves, and you've been staying with your mom for rent-free and you just started your new job yesterday.
Yeah.
Those are those challenging ones that you need a professional that understands that. And just because we're professional doesn't mean we work miracles. I mean,
no, that's true. But I think too, somebody in a similar line of work. So Johnny has a friend that's in sound.
Yeah.
Okay. If he comes to you, you've already worked on our taxes. You've already seen what we have to offer. You see how it gets paid out. A big box, they're not going to know. They're going to say, why do you have 20 W-2s and 15 1099s? What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
But somebody like you, you've seen it, you've worked with it. It makes you a much more valuable asset to that client.
Absolutely. And that's been, I'd say, a huge growth in my own business. When I was in the Central Valley, everybody, I feel, not everybody, but a majority of my book of business was W-2 employees. And obviously that's much easier to calculate, right? You're an hourly rate or you're a salary, and you just got to make sure that everything's trending properly. Self-employed has been really a majority of my business now. Down here in the Southern California, many entrepreneurs. I mean, it's just, industry is everywhere. And whether you own a little small mom and pop surf shop, or you have, I can count endless, oil rig companies I've worked with and trust companies that I've worked with where they're self-employed and those tax returns are complicated and deep. That's really where, self-employed is more difficult to borrow. One, the risk and trends, and we just, spoke with this in a little workshop that we did. We purposely did this workshop because we want the consumer to understand there is no secrets, right? There's no secret sauce to buying as self-employed, but you obviously don't always understand, where do you stand? How much income do I have?
Right.
And do I qualify? And so understanding really how to read the tax returns, and a lot of my, talking points, again, go back to presentation in the self-employed taxes. And if we can make pointers, we do that. It's a constant tug of war, being self-employed, paying Uncle Sam, paying yourself, showing enough money to qualify for the home that you want. So self-employed obviously is a game changer, and I would never leave my tax returns to a big box banks to really decipher that. So.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people that I get, they're like, okay, we want to buy a $800,000 home. Okay, sounds good. I make plenty of money. It'll be totally fine. They turn in their tax forms and they're like, well, you qualify for $300,000. And that's not even going to buy you a condo.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that story a time or two. but I made $1 million in sales.
You totally did make $1 million, and then it doesn't translate.
What were your cost of goods sold? 900,000?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, Well, good. I don't know. I mean, we're about an hour here. Do you have any other questions or things that you wanted to bring up? Maybe a few more things here. What ideal client for you? Let's chat about that. There's a lot of potentials out there listening, and
I
so
know.
who do you want to work with?
I love to work with everybody, but I want to work with somebody that's not so stuck in their ways that they can't see other options. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people will say, well, I'm only looking for a 3-bedroom house and
Yeah.
it has to be in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how can we get you to that neighborhood? How can we get you to that house? By maybe buying something in the interim, building up that equity so that you can afford in that neighborhood.
I love it. That is huge. That is being open to listening to the professional, getting you there. That's setting up realistic expectations. That's great. That's great. Well, we're going to do links to your social media. We'll have
Natalie Oman. That's pretty much all of them. YouTube, Instagram, Natalie Oman.
There it is.
Yeah.
And anything else? Any other shout outs?
I don't know. I shout out to Johnny, since he was going to be here, he could be here. So,
Shout out to Johnny, Mr. Hollywood.
Mr. Hollywood. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, friends. Thanks for joining in. And Natalie Oman and Greg Abrams here, Real Talk with mortgages and real estate.
Thanks,
care.
Greg.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
And Kung Pao.
No, that's not how you do it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, then go.
Well, look at you can't even see your hands in there. Like you're going down here, you can't see it. You have to see it. It's like right here.
Okay.
Right, and then there's one for my camera. Ready?
So
So when you're in the video editing, you go frame by frame until you get that